Welcome. Today, for our SMA Legends session, we have with us Chaz Wiebe. He is with Builder Stair Supply from St. Louis, Missouri. Uh, he was, I believe, one of the first people to be a part of the SMA, to join the SMA, one of the earlier guys. I guess that's relative. But anyhow,
Yeah,
Chaz, welcome. It's a
well,
pleasure to
thanks.
have you here.
Good to be here.
Could you tell us, I guess, how you got started in the stair business? Could you tell us about the early years and your beginnings?
I was, I've been building things since I was 2 years old, and got a. I moved back from Colorado and was building cabinets in a little half room garage with a gravel floor, and I needed some shelves for some bookcases I was building. I went down to a company and figured, what the heck? I'll buy some treads. That'll work better for shelves than having to glue them up. So went down to a stair company and bought some treads. And a couple months later, needed some more shelves. So I went back down there and they said, well, we've been looking for you. I said, okay, why? And they said, well, we're looking for a stair builder. That's the beginning of my career. They gave me about 40 minutes of training and then turned me loose. So been building stairs ever since.
So you obviously learned on the fly. You learned as you went. And I hear
Yeah,
that from a lot of people.
yeah. And I figured it was about 3 years before it finally all clicked. But I I feel kind of lucky that I learned that way because I didn't learn anybody's bad mistakes. I figured stuff out myself.
Had no preconceived notions on how to do things. You
Yep.
learned the best way by yourself.
And that first staircase was so bad. It was 30 inches rail height at the bottom of a three step run and 27 at the top. So it was pretty bad. I went back several years later and replaced it for him because I was rather ashamed of it. That was the first one I ever did before I went to work for a stair company. So
So you did go to work for a stair company then
yeah,
at some point?
I worked for them for 7 years, and then walked in. I worked as a subcontractor. Walked in. They said, "Well, we've changed the way we're going to pay you," and I knew that didn't sound real good. So anyway, the end result is I no longer work for them, and I started my own business in '85.
Did you have a mentor during those 7 years that you worked from, or were you still learning on your
No,
own?
I just started on my own. I had there were customers from the company I worked for, and they wanted to hire me because I did all their work, and they really liked my work. So, fortunately, I did good work, and so that was the beginning of my company.
Did you have any previous woodworking experience, evidently, before you started building those shelves?
Oh, I've been building things since I was two. When I was 18, two buddies of mine and I went out to Colorado and built the cabin that I'm still working on. Uh, but no, I've always been a carpenter and always built things, but I never had a shop. And then in '85, I moved into a one room grade school room in an old school, and that was the beginning. So it was fun.
So was it just you at that time in the one room,
Oh yeah,
probably?
it was just me for I'd say 2.5 years. So I'd make a volute in the morning and I'd install it that afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good service.
Well, no, it was crazy because my favorite times to work was like from 2 in the afternoon till 3 or 4 in the morning because nobody was there. So sometimes they never knew when I was going to show up, but I was always working on their stairs whether I was there or not. So and
You
they had patience.
you say this was an old school building that you rented
Yeah.
a room, a single
Yes.
room.
Yeah, I was in the first grade room, as a matter of fact.
So you
Yeah,
had the shop set up in there, like tools and all that in
yeah.
this little room?
Back then, I bought a dust collector, which I still have. I had a little Walker Turner 6-inch joiner. I had a 13-inch planer, and I had a radial arm saw and a couple routers. That was it. Hit table saw.
Okay.
And that
And you
was
were
it.
making fittings with that?
Yeah, I was doing it by hand, with a router. Oh, I had a bandsaw as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't lose any fingers during that time?
No, nope. Didn't I? Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to lose fingers, so I never lost my mind a few times. But, no fingers.
I just remember back some of those jigs in the old days. They weren't always the safest, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
you,
it was fun.
and you are known for your savviness with jigs, like a jig genius, I guess. How did
But
that develop for you?
it's the way I've been all my life. Figuring out a different way of doing something. I mean, that's what drives me. Thinking of different ways of making things, and that's what's fun. I'm having more fun now than I've had in years because a lot of things are falling into place, and I'm making new things and just having a great time.
Making a
But
better
no,
mousetrap.
yeah, but no, I'd always loved figuring a better way to do things.
Okay.
Like we have a customer today that wants to make 1 3/16 inch treads, and they want to scribe it to a circular staircase that was built over 100 years ago. We're not going to do the job, but they wanted us to nose all the treads and all that stuff. And I said, "You don't want us to do that. Scribe it, make the front of the tread long, and then cut the front of the tread off to where you need it to be, and then nose it. Instead of trying to work with a nose tread and scribing it to 100-year-old circular, wall stringer and risers and stuff. So, just think outside the box.
Innovate and come up with new solutions, right?
Yeah.
That's what you enjoy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm developing a combination shipping container and freight elevator mechanism with wheels on it, so I can roll it right up to Colorado, roll it right up to these 3 or 4 story condominiums, and have your office or storage or even a latrine in that shipping container with a freight elevator connected to it right next to the building. So, you can haul your stuff up and down. So I bought the freight elevator, brought it back from Colorado. It's sitting on my trailer right now, and I hope to start working on it in a couple of weeks. And, it's going to be really cool.
Solving problems, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Well, I create a lot of problems and then I have to solve them.
Okay.
That's more how it really works.
So, in the stair world, who has been your greatest positive influence?
Oh, there's so many. So many. You're one of them. Dave Cooper, Tom Stilt. Tom Stilt was the guy that he made me feel accepted in, with the stair builders. First meeting I went to, there was maybe 6 or 8 people there. Bill Bavaca, Louis Fitz, Lynn Smith, David Wynn, Ron Middleton, a couple more. Bill Bass from Stair Parts Limited back then. And it was me. I was just a little stair builder and all this. I didn't even think they'd even talk to me. But Tom took the time, and spent some time with me, and I love the guy. Talk to him a couple times a year, but he was a big influence on me. Not so much in stair building, but just in acceptance with the industry. So that was really important to me.
Acceptance by your peers, being
Yeah,
seen as one of them. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's funny you talk like that, and here I am. You're one of the guys that was there when we became involved, and we looked up to you. So
yeah.
it's kind of interesting how that works and how that all comes back around. So
Yeah, I might want to rethink that a little bit.
um,
but
so
but I mean, Lewis Fitz, phenomenal guy. Uh, uh, Shoot, I'm trying to think. There's a ton of guys out there, and my mind's just drawing a blank right now. Bill Bavona. Uh, there's a lot of guys. Edwin Woods. Bunch of guys.
it's pretty amazing the collective knowledge you just mentioned there between all these people.
Oh
It's
yeah,
pretty wild,
yeah. It really is. It
and we
really
all
is.
have access to them. Yeah,
Yeah,
but through the SMA. So
yeah.
probably the best part about the SMA, I think. Yeah.
That's to me the biggest thrill about the SMA is meeting people, and I really do like meeting the new members and making them feel comfortable, like Tom Stilp did to me. And that to me, if you're not comfortable in a situation, that's just not good. So I try and make everybody feel as comfortable as I can.
You do that, passing it forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, wonderful. What has been your greatest challenge in the stair business, I guess? And you can go into personal parts of your life too if you like. It's up to you.
Biggest challenge in the stair business. That's a good question. It's all a challenge. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Let's
Maybe
go on to the next one. Let me
we can
think
come
about
back to that one.
it. Yeah,
All
that's the
right.
way my mind works. I can think about it while I'm talking about something else.
Okay. What is an achievement you are most proud of? This could be maybe a two-part question, maybe your personal life and the stair world, each.
Well, meeting my wife, the greatest thing ever happened to me.
Wonderful.
She's phenomenal.
She's a gem.
Yeah.
We all
Oh
love
yeah.
Robin.
I mean, there's one. She's only one in the universe as far as I'm concerned. She really is. And she has, because she is so smart and so personable, she has given me the opportunity to do some of the crazy things that I do, figuring stuff out. And she doesn't discourage me. I've come up with some off the wall idea, and she goes, "Well, go for it," So she's her own worst enemy because she prompts me on.
So are you saying she's the responsible one?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I'm kidding. You know that.
Yeah. No, but it's true. She's the responsible one. No, building, I first circular I ever built, it was pretty cool. Now I think they're easier to build than straight stairs, to be honest with you now, but
Amen.
right, we don't do, I haven't built a circular stair in probably 6-8 years. So, but they're fun.
Mhm.
I like, well, once again, solving problems. We do a lot of remodel work where, people come in, they want to completely change their stairs, and we're very good at it. We're very fortunate. We have some really extremely talented people to work for us, and they can understand what I'm talking about and make it happen. So that's cool. The greatest achievement, I don't know. Probably the greatest achievement is being part of the SMA. It really is. It's not so much an achievement, but it's very satisfying. And I love seeing people sharing knowledge. And that's my favorite thing to do is share ideas with somebody. If I can help somebody out, figure out a different way to do something or a better way to do something, I mean, I'm all for it. They're competitors, so what? If I can help them out, solve a problem, that's that's cool to me.
You probably have the friendliest group of competitors anywhere, I imagine.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm really proud to be a SMA member. That's probably the biggest accomplishment of my life, other than marrying my lovely bride, is probably being an SMA member. And well, I mean, yes, I'm very proud of our business. We've got a very successful small business. Uh, I'm very proud of our reputation and what we've done for our customers, the way we treat our customers. I'm very customer oriented in a lot of ways. In our company, if the phone rings more than 3 times and somebody hasn't answered the phone, that's not good. You call up so many people in this day and age, you put on hold for 20 minutes, punch 5, punch 4, plus 3, punch 2, punch the phone in the nose. It's just I'm proud. I'm really proud of our business, proud of the SMA, proud of my wife, and I guess I'm proud of myself too. So,
Well, you have some really cool inventions you've come up with over the years too that I'm
hey,
aware of. You have to
I
be proud of those.
yeah, I am. I just got my patents July 26th on the whole stair system that I've been working on, and it's pretty cool. And I just came up with the name of it. It's going to be a pretty crazy name. I'm going to start a new company called the Triangular Square Company,
Okay.
because I've developed a new way to to cut wood on the log in a triangular shape. Then we're going to put that in a vacuum kiln, and we can vacuum those triangular shapes in about a week, compared to 12 weeks of air drying, 8-quarter lumber, whatever. And I can dry these in about a week. We can pull it out of the kiln, run it through a carpet feed double surfacing planer, run it through a molder, and it comes out of the molder, and you glue them together. So you're
Nice.
saving 15, 18 steps in making a 3.5-inch newel. And all 4 faces of the newel are face grain instead of edge grain on 2 sides and face grain on 2 sides. And I'm really proud of this. It all works. I mean, it's a lot of steps, but the guy I'm dealing with a sawmill manufacturer up in British Columbia, and they just cut a bunch of triangular. I call them triangular squares. But he's excited. It's called a swing saw, and it works really cool because you can pivot. You can cut the triangular shapes with the saw. Take it straight from the saw, put it on a pallet, crisscross them. You use the point of the triangle is the sticker for the layer above it. Put it in the vacuum kiln. After it comes out of the kiln, run through the planer, through the molder, and glue it up.
That's
So
something you don't see is four face grain on all 4 sides. You just don't see
yeah.
that.
Well, you see it in box newels, but
Mm-hmm. Like
and
a
the
3.5.
yeah, the turn newels really look nice because you're not seeing all that edge grain,
Mm-hmm.
and when you turn them, they look really nice. You know, maybe another 25 years I'll have it perfected, or I'll be able to show it. No, seriously, it's moving really fast, and I've got a lot of people that are interested in it, and I'm really excited about it. So
You probably thought about this one for a while, I imagine.
Well, the patent, I started in 2018. So what I'm talking about now, the creative process and the patenting process, was 4 years ago. So it takes a while to get there,
Hmm.
but
It's
I'm
not an
having
easy
fun.
process.
No,
Yeah.
it's not, but I'm
Not the
having
fun
fun.
part. The fun part's coming up with your design and figuring it all out, I'm sure, versus getting the patents on all the legalese. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing, and I'm still working on it, is writing the directions. That's the
Okay.
hardest part for me. I know how to do it, but to tell somebody how to do it, that's a tough thing to do.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that, Chaz. What advice would you offer to some a young Chaz Wiebe starting out? Here again, business and life.
Always take the challenge, whatever it is. Always take the challenge and master the challenge. Don't shy away from guessing. Don't shy away. Don't think that you can't do something because you can do it. If you make up your mind to it, maybe you might not know how to do it, but if you think about it long enough, you'll figure it out and go and do it. Don't be afraid.
Awesome. Good. Very good advice. Yeah. Don't let the fear control you.
Yeah,
Love it.
I mean that's the funnest part is you know looking at it, going, how the hell am I going to do this, and then coming up with the solutions, and that's what makes it. You know, we all started. Most of us as trim carpenters, and I once knew a guy, really a talented woodworker, and he says, when you really have a problem, trying to figure out how to make something look good, if you make it look obvious, if you come up with a solution that's obviously a little bit different, 9 times out of 10, people are going to say, that's the coolest thing I ever saw, you know? So just sometimes you got a problem, accentuate, and I'm talking about covering up the problem, with, it's trim carpet, you're just taking moldings and covering up and trying to make it look good. But if you got a problem, think about it, make it an obvious problem, and it's going to usually turn out to be the neatest part of the whole project. So,
I've often heard you say, think outside the box. So
well,
you live up
with
to
the
your
anchor lock
advice.
tool, I'm saying we're thinking inside the box.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, but no, you just got to think. That's all. It's so fun.
So, before you started building those shelves out of treads, what did you do before then? Do you have a college degree?
No,
How did your earlier part of your life go?
well, I could have. I told my dad I'm ADHD and I'm somewhat dyslexic, and I'm not real fond of the education system, or especially the education I got, because all I wanted to do when I was a kid was science, and invent things. And I was so discouraged that, you know, I told my dad that sending me to college it'd be stupid. And so I'd saved up a little bit of money, because I've been working all my life. I roofed my parents' house when I was 12, but I said, instead of sending me to college, why don't you take the money like you gave my sisters to go to college, and I'll take the money that I saved up, and you know I'll go out to Colorado and I'll take these two buddies of mine. We'll build this cabin. So that was my college education. Was going out to Colorado with these two guys, Pete Wright and John Stevenson, uh, and we built it all by hand. Well, we did it modularly. We For a while we were going to camp out, but the second day we were camping out, we got 8 inches of snow, in June, and we figured, well, maybe we'll stay in a motel. So we got a motel where we could stay for $75 a month, the three of us, and so we drill holes and cut the pieces there, and then haul it up and build the A-frame. Oh, and by the way, every board in the house is crowned the wrong direction. So you always learn something. But anyway, that's how I got into building things. And then after that, I was up in the mountains and the economy was crap. There's no way I wanted to build fancy, neat woodworking. And there was none of that. I mean, the casing was Hollywood casing and hollow core Luan doors. It just wasn't my style. So I moved down to Denver and went to work with a guy that built some really cool stuff. And he built his own cabinets and stuff. And worked for him for about 2 years. And then I started on my own. I was working in restaurants. Back then, restaurants were the only places where you could, do fancy woodwork. And so I'd work on restaurants. And, I did one restaurant up in Evergreen, Colorado, where we took all the beams out of, it was like I think it's 15,000 square foot restaurant. Took out all the beams while they were still open and put them back in, I've done a lot of crazy things like that. And I love a challenge like that. Moving heavy stuff to me is really cool. But I learned how to do crown molding. And I moved back to St. Louis. I came back for Thanksgiving. I was going to stay till Christmas, and then I was going to move to Missoula, Montana. And I just never left. It was good that I came home. It was good for my parents for me to be with them at that time of their lives. And but I made a living with crown molding because I was one of the few people that I had a 9-inch Rockwell miter box. You ever seen one of those, Dealing?
They're
Okay, with a
good,
particle
tough old
board table.
machines. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I learned how to do so much with that miter box. And I made a living doing crown molding. I install skylights as well. And in beam work, I love doing beam work. To this day, I love building, 9, 13-piece beams. I love beams, doing stuff over my head and stuff. I don't do it anymore other than out the cabin. And I just got through, putting some, what were they? 12-foot long, 3.5 by 12, 3.5 by 11.5 by 12-foot long beams, and 15 feet up in the air, and I hoist them up myself, install them myself, do all the work myself, and that's satisfying to me.
So rigging as well, evidently. You get into
that.
Yeah,
I love rigging. I'm trying to build this addition out in Colorado, which I'm hoping to use at least 6, maybe 9 shipping containers. And I've got ways of jacking them up. It's fun, figuring out, solving problems,
solving the problem again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that $75 motel sounds like it was definitely a 5-star place.
It really wasn't a bad place.
Okay.
It was, we had, we didn't, yeah. Well, I went from 75 to 100 because we moved into another room, and it actually had like a 2-burner stove and a refrigerator. Before, we were eating peanut butter and jelly for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But, no, it was the Alpenglow Motel, and Pat Hansen ran it, and she helped us out a lot. I've got to thank Pat because let 3 crazy kids go to work out there. It was kind of fun.
What a wonderful experience, I'm sure. Yeah.
But I really have to thank my father. My father always had faith in me, and if I had had an idea, he would support it, and we just worked together. He always encouraged me, and I think that's so important. You have to do that with, we don't have any kids, but I love supporting young people and trying to help them and educate them. That's why I enjoy working with our employees so much. They have a pretty good time working where we work. So
I'll bet.
that's good.
What do you see as one of the bigger challenges for the stair industry in the next decade? And here again, we were just talking about your life, as a youngster. Do you
I
think
Go ahead.
how could you speak to those youngsters today with the challenges in the stair world today?
Find somebody like me to go to work for. Or not just me, but the stair companies. If you can get people that see an interest in it, it's so fun to nurture them and watch them grow and watch them want to learn how to do things and do things better and teach them how to think and teach them mental responsibility, which I don't have.
I believe there are a lot of people, like we talked about the SMA, the people in the SMA, how they're willing to share information, just out there ready and waiting to share their knowledge with these young people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's so cool. I've I've got a roommate in Colorado. He's a 28-year-old man. And we're having a ball together. He's an excavator. He does a phenomenal job. But just talking back and forth to each other, when Robin's not there, it's just him and I, and we're learning a whole lot from each other. It's a whole lot of fun.
Wonderful.
What I would tell young people, if you find something you really like to do, stay the course. Don't be afraid of it. Jump in with both feet and do it and learn as much as you can. For years, I've been really pretty negative on the young workforce, but I'm getting extremely excited because we're starting to see some young kids that they're just flourishing, and it's so cool to see. We're molding people we're changing their lives. If you get young people and they want to work hard, you can change their life, for whatever they want to do, but you can change them for the better. And that's so cool.
And
Really
they're
is.
going to pass that forward as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pass it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. As far as the industry, stair industry, I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing track. I'm thinking all those other things you told me to think about earlier.
Do you have a big regret as a stair builder, as a person that you learned from?
Yeah, I regret that sometimes I've been too frank with people. And this is just in the last week, I'm gonna be 72 in a couple of months. And I just finally figured this out that maybe sometimes it's better just keep your mouth shut. I've inserted my foot many times, and maybe I'm finally learning maybe not to do that quite so much.
Well, see, I think some of us are maybe trying to do the opposite. So, you
Well, I'm
might be
not
on a
saying
better
I've
track than
changed.
you think.
I'm not saying I've changed a whole lot.
Okay.
I'm making a cognizant effort to, as Robin calls it, the Chaz Light. I'm working on Chaz Light here.
Okay. What do you see as the biggest challenge for the stair industry now? Not you, I guess, but now we're talking about the industry as a whole, and let's say the next decade. This,
I think logistics and getting product. I think this international market or something, you know, global trade. I think it's going to affect a lot of us quite heavily. We've relied so heavily on products from other countries, and just the cost of shuffling them around. It's. I think logistics is a huge part of it. I think a lot of the stair companies, they're going to start manufacturing more of their own products again. Even the small guy like me. Uh, I mean, we're a small company, but we make a fair amount of stuff, and I think logistics is going to be a heavy. It's going to change our industry. You're going to have more regional manufacturing just because of the cost of shipping. It used to be shipping was no big deal, but now it's a huge part of not huge. It's a large part of the expenses in our industry.
So that's going to affect the next generation.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
think that's a good thing for them, or is it going to be a
I
bad
do.
thing? How do you see this?
Well, it's like me. I mean, when I first started off, like we were talking earlier, I'd make a volute in the morning and install it that afternoon. Uh, with the machinery that's available now, the CNC, the 5-axis, 6-axis, the robotics. Robotics, I think, is the future. I think CNC's come a long way, but I think it's kind of. I think there's more. Uh, but along with that, with the technology and the CAD, I mean the CAD drawings, it's unbelievable what the new companies, the stair companies can do. I can't do any. I wish I could, but I can't. But the technology is just unbelievable. But at the same time, I think it's a double-edged sword, because I think a lot of the skill of the trade is lost, or is dwindling. There's there's not going to be as many people like me, you know, jigs and fixture guys, and half my shop are jig and fixture guys. I mean, we all love it. But I think the skill level in building stairs. I mean, beautiful things are being made, but they're being made by machines. They're not really being made by a craftsman so much. The craftsman is the CNC or the robotic operator or the AutoCAD guy. That's where the craftsman is in our industry now. Not all. I mean, there's still some great woodworkers and craftsmen, but I think it's going to be dwindling.
It sounds like you think there's a lot of room for nerds here, so to speak.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I was one of them. I really do. I bought a robot back in, I don't know, 88 or 91 or 93. It was bigger than my kitchen. You could drive a Volkswagen underneath it, and it had a robotic arm. But the schematics were in French, and I don't speak French. And they were talking in robotic terms. They kept talking about trajectory, and I don't think CNC guys are talking about trajectories too much and going from point A to point B and stuff like that. But I wanted the technology so bad, but I'm not smart enough to figure that out. So, but it's exciting. I see, Tom Stilp with his robots, what he's doing, unbelievable. With Jonathan Webster, Jonathan, and Don, and Dan, and all those guys, JD Stairs, what they're doing, unbelievable. And as far as craftsmen go, Heartland Stair. I mean, you guys build some really cool stuff too. There's a lot of skilled people out there, and it's fun to see.
It's fun to see, I think, the technology and the skill come together and create
Yes,
these beautiful things.
yeah, it's just mind blowing.
So we talked about the challenges for us, our future, and then also the next generation. What do you see getting better for us, our near future, and then the next generation following us?
Learn how to deal with the things I just said. Uh, you get a problem and then you solve it. A lot of the products that I've worked on or developed, I've worked on them because of code changes. The first patent I got was a design patent. It was a handrail that met the code changes in 1988 or 1989. When they're going to outlaw 6010 rail. So the adversity of the code changes creates ingenuity. It creates innovation because there's people that are writing these stair codes and stuff, or codes, all the building codes, and they don't know what all's involved. And then us as craftsmen and businessmen, we have to figure out how to solve those problems. And a lot of times, it's one of the reasons why I've developed these newel posts is because of the code, the fastening aspects of it, and trying to improve on it and satisfy the needs of what some regulators are telling us we got to do. And they don't even know what they're talking about. So, for the most part.
So adversity created these
Ingenuity.
things. Yeah, forced it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Lots of things in life seem to be that way, right?
Yeah.
We don't grow without adversity, seems like.
It's frustrating though. Like the water shortage, the energy crisis, the banning cars in 2035, that run on gas. Unfortunately, a lot of the regulations that are done, we're not ready to solve those problems. We don't have the infrastructure to solve those problems. And so now we're trying to accommodate decisions that were made 50 and 60 years ago and trying to implement solutions to the problems that we have now. And half of the time it was created by the solution that they came up with 50 or 60 years ago. Look at the nuclear energy. The banning of all the nuclear power plants. Now the only way we're going to survive if we bring nuclear back. We can't rely on solar and hydrogen. Hydrogen's the answer, right? In my opinion, nuclear fusion, and the molten salt reactors and the hydrogen production. I just read a new way that they're making hydrogen out of humidity. I just read that today, and I'm kind of questioning it, but I'm all for it.
There's people like Chaz Wiebe out there working on that, right?
Yeah.
The innovators. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it basically adversity creates innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Adversity and regulatory, you put up a roadblock, you got to figure out how to get around the roadblock. It's that simple.
As your career progressed, I'm sure you encountered some issues and challenges. We've talked about some of them. What became better as your career, your life went on? What became better? What became easier for you?
Communicating. When I first became part of the member of the SMA, I still am. I'm a very shy, introverted person, but I remember pacing the floor for hours before I have to get up and say 2 minutes worth of words, about like on membership, on the membership committee, what we're doing, and I was scared to death to get in front of people. I still am, and I credit the SMA for me overcoming my introvertedness and my shyness. And, well, once again, I had to do it. And, I mean, that's one thing I'm very grateful to the SMA for. And there used to be a guy named Steve Leedy. Not many people would know him, but I would spend an hour trying to write a sentence, and he encouraged me to start writing. And now I enjoy writing or composing small things, except for directions on how to install my Noah post. But I've grown a heck of a lot because of the SMA, and I really appreciate that personally.
Mhm. What issue became more difficult as your life went on, your career progressed? It all became easier, maybe.
I think it's become easier.
Good. You give us hope.
Well, I've I've been very fortunate. I, I mean, I had several years of not such good health. I mean, I'm not dying or anything, but I've torn ligaments and cataracts, and I've had some health issue setbacks. But I feel better now than I've felt in years. Uh, I'm losing track of where I was trying to go.
What became more difficult, if anything? But you said life is getting better, easier.
Yeah, well, the
Huh.
last 3 years it's been pretty tough for me. I've not been able
Mhm.
to physically do much, but I'm feeling great now. I'm feeling great, and as far as difficulties I see coming forth, not that many.
Wonderful. Could you share an experience that had a major impact on your life, and what it did for you? Is there a certain something that jumps out at you?
9/11, 9/11 had a big impact on me. The Vietnam War had a big impact on me. I didn't serve, but probably the biggest impact was the opportunity I had to go to Colorado at such a young age, and I learned how to do without a lot. I lived without electricity or water for 2.5 years. Uh, it gets cold. It get down to 50, 60 below zero. Just learn how to deal with it. But I learned a lot about myself. But I would say those are some of the best times of my life. I mean, I would go literally a month and not see a soul, and it was it was kind of cool. But it's
Wow.
part of my introvertedness too. So
Some people would think that'd be just absolutely awful, but I can appreciate when you say those are some of the best years of your life. Yeah.
it, some of the best years for learning about myself.
Hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily they're the best years of my life. The best years of my life have been since I met my bride. So, but I really learned a lot about myself, being alone and having to figure things out and do crazy things like I used to go into town once a month and I'd buy the Sunday newspaper and I'd come back to the house and it'd be sunny outside and I'd take off all my clothes and I'd sit in a lawn chair and read the newspaper, out in the middle of right out in the middle of God's country, 'cause no one was there, you know. When
Nice.
there's 5 feet of snow on the ground, the sun's shining, I mean, there's not a freer feeling in the world, crazy like that.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just told you that.
um, I think you might have talked about this, but this is a question I have. You might be able to elaborate on this. How different was your career in the beginning versus how it is today?
Well, I don't work as much. I used to work 16, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I remember one time when I was working for the stair company, I worked July 5th till Christmas Day without a day off. And I was working, you know, 12, 14 hours a day.
Wow.
I don't do that anymore. Well, I think a lot, but other than that, but I've lost track of what we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I think I'm kind of done with my list of questions I was going to ask you. So, anything else you'd like to just share with us? Something I didn't think of to ask you?
I I am so impressed with the progress that the SMA is making in the educational field, in the mentor field, the code field, and how people are becoming so active in the SMA. It just thrills the heck out of me. Since Tara came on, we have grown by leaps and bounds, and we've got somebody who, I mean, and everybody's tried throughout the years, but finally having Tara come on board, I think it's been great. And a lot of it, maybe it's just all the cards falling in place. The time, what we're going through, with COVID, with yada yada yada. Uh, I'm really pleased with what the SMA is doing. It's so cool to see, because I remember when we had um, 18, 20 members. And those 20 members were trying to run a code committee. They were trying to run an education committee. They were trying to run, you know, membership committees. And it's just so cool to see so many people stepping up, John Wonderly, all the people on the board, Jonathan Webster. And we got some great, sharp guys. And they're doing phenomenal. So Steve Gonzell. I hope that we can start doing shop tours again. That's one thing I really miss. I think all of our members miss that, because it's such a great camaraderie time and an educational time. And I'm really hoping that we can get back into those shop tours. And Steve Gonzell is the guy that got that stuff going, and he did a phenomenal job. And Steve, I really thank you. I thank all you guys I'm talking about. There's so many great guys that have done so much, and I really appreciate it. Where you asked me one thing. I'm proud of the auction. We've raised some money with the auction. Uh, remember when I was talking about putting my foot in my mouth? I'd suggested that we have an auction, and everybody says, "Okay, you do it," and all of a sudden, oh, because gets back to that shyness thing. Me standing up front of the auction, is not an easy thing to do. But we've got some youngins coming up that are going to take over my place, and I'm excited about it. Ryan and Tara, they did a phenomenal job last time, and I'm going to see if I can't push more off onto them.
You've done an amazing job with that. It'd be interesting to see how many dollars that your auctioneering has raised for the SMA, and
I'm
it's
amazed.
unbelievable.
I remember one auction. I think it was in Reno, and nobody brought anything. So and here I got to keep people going. So I started with all the vendors and I just started taking all their samples off of their tables and auctioning them off. We're stealing wine glasses from the bar and auctioning those off. I was eyeing a vase in the lobby, but we pulled it off,
Is that where the yellow belt came from?
Uh, the yellow belt came from, I think, that was in like Charleston, I think. That was a couple years later, but yeah, the yellow belt. Yeah, I mean that's tradition.
What is the story behind the yellow belt? Is that something we'd share here?
Well, Dan O'Brien was getting kind of kinky, with Rebecca, whooping her with his belt, and so we had to break it up and we took the belt away from him. No, actually, Dan offered it up for auction. I think
Okay.
Dan offered it up for auction.
Okay.
And that was, and I was kind of upset really because that yellow belt's a pretty small belt, and it put me out of the bidding for sure.
Okay.
It's only for those skinny bastards like Sean Chrisman and Frank Fitz, and I think Nathan bought it. I don't like those skinny little guys.
Good
Anyway,
times. We do have a lot of good times too at these SMA events. We get learn a lot that helps our companies, but we also have a lot of fun while we're at work technically there. So
I have my friends are in the SMA. I mean, I've got a few friends, but really my best friends are in the SMA. They don't know it, but they are my best friends. And it's really cool. It really is.
All right. Anything else to add today?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. It's been great. Thanks so much for all the wisdom. There's some very good nuggets that we can all use, file away for life, and apply. Just wonderful, wonderful wisdom. Thank you so much.
Well, I don't know wisdom, but I hope so. I hope I can make people think. That's all. And think positive. The power of positive thinking. By what was her name? I can't remember the author. But my father was a believer in that. The power of positive thinking. And he used to always say, no matter what happens, something good will come of it.
Nice.
And that's my last word of wisdom, I guess.
All right. Thank you, Chaz. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks so much. I'll see you in a couple of days.
All right.
See you guys. See you SMA guys later on. Enjoy. Love you guys. Take care.